All right, so I want to get on this thing about Jey Uso. I already made one video about it, but I was like, it's still going. But but like the whole like video bombing, I was like saying like he's an entrance merchant, catchphrase merchant, all this other stuff. I was like, I think I just wanted to just do another video on all this, just because I was like, one, I was gonna say everybody has a catchphrase. Entrances make a person better, because if not, y'all will love Andrade El Idolo because he wrestles really good. He's phenomenal. Not AJ, but he's really good. And nobody cared about him. Nobody cared when he came out. Nobody really. I was like, it wasn't until he wrestled that everybody cared. And this has been shown the case no matter where he sort of goes. Like, yeah, I was like, you could do something cool for a minute, and I was like, yes, all of this is about creative of what you put. I was like, what you put in the storyline or whatever. So yes, if you had him facing off against Cody, it might turn out a little bit better. But y'all shown that, hey, that doesn't necessarily matter. Now, somebody like Karrion Kross, who it took about a year and a half to get this gimmick over that nobody really didn't like it and paying attention to until basically this year, whatever. Cool entrance. Man, I was like, that's crazy. And he's also doing good character work. But I was like, he has something where it's like nobody feels that he's really that type of wrestler in the ring. LA Knight. I was like, catchphrase. I was like his theme music you hits and everybody pops or whatever. Yes, it's LA Knight, but I think he's actually theme music for being like, generic sound. I was like really good. But I was like, I see people be like, oh, he does a rhythm move. No, he doesn't. Nobody really does a rhythm move like that anymore. I was like, they got a move set, but just because he does more moves don't mean that he's also necessarily any better than any other people. A lot of people really still love Finn. Finn doesn't do a lot of moves. He does a lot of drop kicks and the coup de grace a lot of times. Um, I was like, Gunther. I was like, I don't hold him at the top how people do, but I can understand it. But I was like, for the most part, Gunther. I was like, is he more than chops? Yes, but I was like, that's what basically a lot of people really started like. When I was seeing Gunther and everybody was over here loving Gunther, it was really like a whole chop thing. Jacob Fatu, yeah, that I mean, gas. I was like, gas, no brakes. So I was like, everybody has a catchphrase at some point. The interest does. I was like, interest does make the people cool. Penta got a cool entrance. Jacob Fatu, like I said. So to be mad at Jey Uso that he got two of the five things, and people really like hate him as shit him as a wrestler, and I was like, he wrestles fine. I was like, his promos, it depends on what he's coming out here doing or whatever. Everybody I'm like, the whole point is to get over with the crowd and the people, and that's what he does, and y'all hate him for it. And I'm just like, that's crazy for all the people. Like, I wasn't around with Zack Ryder, but I heard that he got over with the people, and he wasn't pushed. I was like, people hate that. I was like, LA Knight, I guess you could say in a similar form or whatever. But guess what? WWE also felt like he was getting gas at one point. I was like, his wrestling wasn't there for what they needed him to do. And also, too, his promos is really like, I was like, I like his promos too, but you want to know why? Because he sounds funny and ain't wacky. Like, that's what it is. When he's over here, like, let me tell you something. I don't care if it's in Brooklyn or I don't care if it's in Miami. Your keister is going to be off the top rope, down on the bound. You're going to get a BLT, and you're going to love it. Yeah, like, that's what LA Knight does. And I was like, oh, man, it sounds funny and kooky. It's like Attitude Era. But this also tells me that y'all wouldn't like a lot of people from the Attitude Era. Like, for instance, Jeff Hardy, one of my favorite wrestlers. Not really a good promo. I was like, he does high flying moves, especially at that time. But I was like, I wasn't like, you ever seen him like punch and stuff and swing? He's not over here really wrestling like that. He's not like a technician or nothing like that or whatever. But what he had was aura, the theme song. I was like, and just being a beloved character. Kids love him and stuff like that. I was like, that, like, if you can have like a good like three of like the five, I want to say like five things I hear people talking about like being wrestling, then you're in there, you're up there. So I was like, and that's why where it's like I'm like I don't understand your like the whole turn or whatever. Cause I was like he hasn't like he's been on TV, but I was like he hasn't really been in the main event. Which people will also be mad because he's not in the main event, but you're mad that he's in the main event. Okay, I was like a guy that came out of nowhere. Yeah, they want to call him Nepo Baby, and I'm like Cody's a Nepo Baby. I was like Braun is a Nepo Baby, which even more of a case that as soon as he gets up from NXT, he basically gets the title, and he is basically in a top faction, and he's going to be basically the face of the league all at a young age. Man, that sounds like another Nepo. Oh, Randy Orton. Randy Orton, the other Nepo Baby. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Oh man, because everybody wants to say like, oh, it's who he knows, which duh, that's how it's who everybody knows. But if that's the case, why did it take Jay so long to become a single star? You know what I'm saying? So that's why that whole Nepo Baby thing is like y'all don't really know how to use that in that type of way. Disliking the videos and stuff like that, bombing, I would like shows that don't really matter anymore. But when people I would like tank movies, I would like music because of your own personal feelings instead of it actually if it's good or bad anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. I was like, it's like I didn't like that character, or that character turned out to be that's not the character, the original character. I was like, since we do that now, you bombing stuff don't matter anymore. I was like, there's no point in it. Yeah. So I was like, it's just crazy to me of still even at this point of like Jay being where he is, and like, hey, you know what? In the end, this might be turned out to be a good thing for Jay. And I was like, and for us, guess what? At one point, Roman was so much, I was like, in how y'all fell down the throats and all this other stuff. That guess what? He had to leave. Guess what? He came back and became tribal chief. So maybe this is going to be the fuel that's going to be like, all right, Jay. I was like, we got to shut this whole yeet thing down. People are sick of it. I was like, how dare you give the people what they wanted and crowd and show vulnerability and be successful and come out of nowhere with anything. I was like, shut it down. I was like, stop yeeting to the crowd. You know what? We're gonna turn all that off. Except for the bad guys, also do some of that. You know. So I was like, what? I was like, I don't know what you want. But like I said, y'all wouldn't like anything in the Attitude Era because I was like, a lot of them weren't really good wrestlers. I was like, they had basically oral moments. They had their moves. I was like, they were mostly all entrance music for like a lot of people that you really did like, and they was a catchphrase. I was like, and they did good. I was like, and they wrestled good enough. I was like, but none of them are what y'all would say technician. None of them was how y'all put Gunther or Daniel Bryan on a top scale or whatever. You can say wrestling gotten more now where everybody can wrestle or whatever, except for Jey Uso. He can't wrestle. You know, how John Cena, he couldn't wrestle. But you know, hey, that I was like, you don't. I was like, you're ruining my product. I don't have people that, you know. I was like, WWE where the best wrestle. Wait, that's a whole different program place. But yeah, I was like, I don't think he's gonna win, but I hope he wins. Is what I would say. Anyway, I was like, that was my Jey Uso rant versus the IWC, who I was like can't make up their minds of basically what they want, because you give them what they want, and basically you will live long enough to see yourself turn into a villain. And considering how his story's going, like that's where I was like that might be ringing true. Anyway, till then, I'll be here for more disappointment.